Hi, good morning. It is blistering hot here. Don't believe me? Just look at this quick screenshot. Our real feel today is 104 degrees, and the problem is twofold. One, we've been lacking rain pretty much since the spring, and now we're in this crazy heat, which is really bad combination. And on top of that, I still have to get to work to track snakes in the heat. But right now, the main priority is getting water to our animals. A lot of these ponds are shallower ponds because of the species that are in them. For example, box turtles and spotted turtles. They're not deep water turtles. So when it gets this hot and there's a drought going on, they start to really lose water. So I got the hoses running. I'm gonna start filling them up, and I also need to check everybody to make sure they're okay. So there's multiple bodies of water in this pen. They are at different levels. So I can overflow this one, which will then spill into the next one and continue spilling from there. But there's a lot of work to do. I gotta go from pen to pen here, because this today is not just about me filling up these ponds to a more swelled level, which is better for the turtles and of course the plants, but it's also about getting the tortoises some water, because even the arid dwelling ones that are outside, I'm telling you, it's been a while without rain. This is really rough. We're losing plants. And I'm just hoping everybody's okay, because when it's that hot, everybody hides, so they're not as easy to find. In this pen is Jack and Sally, our two Galapagos tortoises that are coming up on a year of age, and I'm sure they could use a drink. Now, I gotta find Jack and Sally. So Jack and Sally are Galapagos tortoises, which means they're basically the color black. So that means they're gonna heat up fast, and that even goes for when they are massive adults one day. They were just hiding from the sun, but they definitely need a drink because it's been a hot minute. So I'm filling up their water dish, and I'm gonna let them soak a bit and see if they want it. So as you guys can see, they're definitely very thirsty, and contrary to popular belief, all tortoises require water. Species like Galapagos tortoises actually like to create mud wallows, just like our Aldabra tortoise Mickey does, and that's how they cool off in the wild. They basically make a pit, and it fills up with water, and they just sit in there and sit in there and sit in there until they feel that they have cooled off enough. When we get heat like this and it is just that hot, the water in these little spaces evaporates so quickly. You can see the ponds have evaporated. Well, picture what a little water bowl is gonna do. Little Galapagos tortoises, when they're young like this, they don't create wallows as much as adults do. So what Jack and Sally have been doing is they're going underneath grasses and finding shaded areas as quickly as they can. But good news is now they're well hydrated and they can go about their day. Something that's really interesting about Radiated and Aldabra tortoises is when they get hit with water, or when water is coming down around them, they lift their bodies up like that. Isn't that awesome? Water is really important to them. And you'll see this usually with only the adults. Sometimes the younger ones will do it, but they just lift their bodies up like that and they just kind of take it all in. And during a heat wave like this, it is definitely much appreciated. There you go, bud. Cool off. Right behind Mickey is the wallow that he's made himself right up against his shed here. And I will fill that up with water for him, and he'll probably spend the next 24 hours in it. Rocky and Blue are in the shade because it's even too hot for them. We got a lot of arid dwelling species, and you would think that this severely hot, dry weather would be something that they love. But contrary to popular belief again, even arid species hide from the heat at the peak of the day. It's just too dangerous for them, especially if an animal is more dark colored. I'm gonna take you up here to show you a couple of tortoises that you would think would be out, but I'm almost certain they're not. Pancake tortoise enclosure. This is an African dwelling species. They do not hibernate. They cannot stay out here in the winter. They have to come inside in our building. But here they are. It's the peak of summer and they're nowhere to be found. I'll show you where they are though. So instead of being out and exposed to the sun on top of these very, very hot rocks, the pancake tortoises are all the way down here or underneath the rock shelves in the shade. I mean, the temperature difference down here is, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's very notable. There you go. There they are. And if I had a temp gun, I would show you, but she is so cool to touch compared to the blistering hot rocks because it's just not a safe thing for her to do right now. She knows that if she stays out there, she'll cook. She'll come out later in the day when it's still warm, but no longer excruciatingly hot. So let's send her back in there where she can be safe. Hey girl, stay cool. Wish I could. So there is one Libyan tortoise out. Libyan tortoises are a form of Greek tortoise that are found in Libya where it is usually very, very hot. But even today, at this real feel of 104, the vast majority of the tortoises are staying hidden to avoid the sun. And even the one that's out right now that's eating, he's eating in the shade basically. If you look under here, under this big fountain grass, look at that. Keeping cool. And yes, their shells feel much cooler than out here does. So let's leave them alone and we'll see them in the evening as well. This was a pond. Well, it still is. There's nothing really wrong with it, but the water has basically fully evaporated from it except for one little area. The plants have been using the water, so it's not just completely evaporating, it's being used up by all these marginal vegetative areas. And well, this is for the Gulf Coast box turtle, so the water again is very shallow. It wicks out pretty quick. You can see this guy is completely covered and caked in mud because he's been using the mud to stay cool. But Gulf Coast box turtles are actually pretty aquatic, believe it or not, so we need to make sure we get this filled back up for them so they can fully utilize it. And of course, there are native frogs that like to use this as well. Wow. It's later in the day, the animals are already naturally more active because the heat has suppressed a little bit, but look at this, we're getting rain. So after all that stuff I said in the beginning of this video, we ended up getting a shower anyway, which is amazing. This is what we need. It's gonna loosen up the soil, allow the turtles and tortoises to lay some eggs. It's gonna bring up earthworms, it's gonna make the plants happy, and it's going to make me happy. So we're gonna get out of this rain, and I wanna show you guys one more thing in our nature room that we're really excited about. Behold my mess. Not gonna look like this for long. This is a brand new project. It's gonna look a lot different once I'm finished putting all the pieces in here and all the things that this awesome donated aquatic habitat needs. And the animal going in here is going to be an epic one. So stay tuned. We're going to show you how this all came together, the finished product, and who's going in it.